which best describes you? Are you a student, staff member, faculty, or someone who's non-WashU affiliated? Awesome. And can you guys see the poll results? Maybe just send a yes in the chat for me so I know. Awesome. Thank you. So our next question is, who was here last week for our segment on food? Okay, a lot of people were. That's great. And then how would you rate your knowledge on the topic of energy efficiency? Okay, a lot of novices and a lot of people who are middle of the pack. Great, glad to have everyone. And so I guess my last question for you, oh, where are you joining us from? My bad. Okay, most folks in St. Louis, great to hear. And so the last question that I would love to have you all answer in the chat just is what you're hoping to get out of this session. So feel free to let us know in the chat. And we'll move on with the content of our presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, there we go. Awesome. So the United States is the second largest emitter of CO2, releasing 15% of the world's CO2 emissions. And if you look at the graph, you'll see that a very large chunk of those emissions come from building operations. You'll see a breakdown of all of our emissions in a chart on the right. Just in 2015, the US released 6,587 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent carbon dioxide into the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and oil, solid waste, trees, and wood products, and also as a result of certain chemical reactions, i.e. Manufacturing cement, for example. Carbon dioxide can be removed from the atmosphere when it's absorbed by plants as a part of the biological carbon cycle, just to give everyone some background about why energy efficiency is important and just how pollutants enter the atmosphere. Next slide, please. So what you see on your screen comes from Project Drawdown, and they have a list of solutions for climate change. 1, 2, 8, and 10 are specifically related to energy. They compose about 40% of the top 10 solutions to climate change. So now that you have a little bit of background about things at the global level and at the national level, let's make things a little more local. Next slide, please. So in Missouri, 70 to 83% of our energy comes from coal. And this makes Missouri the 13th highest carbon dioxide emitting state. According to the EPA, our region has the third most carbon intensive grid in the nation. Locally, for our screen to get back, great. Locally, St. Louis has a variety of challenges. For example, St. Louis has one of the highest child asthma rates in the country due to pollution, and hundreds of households face really high energy burdens. And the WashU Environmental Interdisciplinary Law Clinic assisted a lot of local organizations in assessing what kinds of injustices took place on the environmental level when looking at race and low-income communities. For example, the Environmental Racism Report concluded overall that Black St. Louisans are exposed to considerably greater environmental risks than white residents, contributing to stark racial disparities regarding health, economic, and quality of life burdens. So I've given you a little bit of background about the global, national, and local level, and now we'll throw it to Adrienne for energy efficiency on campus.
Thank you, Brianna. So on campus, we have observed lower carbon emissions despite an increase in our square footage. From 2010 to 2015, our carbon emissions decreased by 17,199 metric tons of carbon dioxide, despite the addition of 585,000 square feet of new space. Another way we have conserved energy on campus is through building metering, and campus buildings are metered daily to track natural gas and electricity usage. We currently have 440 metered buildings on campus tracking natural gas and electricity usage. And metering is good because it not only helps with billing, but also helps in discerning faults in systems, peak loads, and thereby allowing us to optimize energy performance. Next slide, please. In 2010, WashU set a goal to reduce greenhouse emissions to 1990 levels by 2020 without purchasing carbon offsets. This was an ambitious goal, but since 2010, we have noticed a 30% reduction in our emissions and hope to continue this trend moving forward. Next slide, please. So onto the topic of renewable energy. WashU currently has assets of about 3 megawatts of on-site solar. And last year alone, our solar arrays produced 600,021 281 kilowatt hours, which is the equivalent of 484,016 pounds of coal. In off-campus residential housing, we have 25 kilowatt hour per capacity arrays installed on 3 loft buildings and an array on one of the quadrangle housing units on Westgate. Next slide, please. WashU maintains its commitment to energy efficiency through the multiple LEED building certifications it has. Currently, WashU is home to 21 LEED certified projects on the Danforth and School of Medicine campuses. LEED being a US Green Building Council certification system for leadership in energy and environmental design. And 5 buildings on the Danforth campus on WashU have achieved the highest green building certification, which is LEED Platinum. 4 of the buildings, the Summer Center, Weil Hall, Chinook Pavilion, which is home to the Office of Sustainability, and Jubal Hall, were all included in the East End Transformation, which is a $360 million project, which is also featured on multiple magazine covers and was recognized by the Society for College and University Planners. Another LEED project that we managed to get to platinum was the renovation of January Hall. All new buildings must be 30% more energy efficient than standard buildings, and that's a standard set by WashU. Next slide, please. Another way WashU is committed to energy efficiency is through the Green Cup, which is a contest between campus residences to reduce energy consumption. This contest runs from February to March every year. It challenges students to assess their energy use and put their energy reduction knowledge to the test. Next slide, please.
So the Office of Sustainability provides a toolkit designed to remind us of simple everyday actions we can take to reduce our impact on the environment. And you can request this toolkit by emailing our email on the screen there. The toolkit contains stickers for thermostats with suggested eco-friendly settings, fridge magnets reminding of phantom loads, and tons of other things that make thinking about consumption fun and engaging, while reminding us that there's a direct link between our consumption and the sources of the materials that we consume. Next slide, please.
So the current COVID-19 pandemic is causing all of us to spend a lot more time at home than we ever have before. So we're going to finish out this presentation by looking at examples from WashU's Energy Efficiency and Sustainable Living Guide for how you can decrease your energy usage at home now and into the future. So whether you live in an apartment or a single family home, whether you rent or own, consider how you might put these ideas into practice in your home today. And as we go along with these tips, please feel free to drop your favorite energy saving tips into the chat and let us know if you've made any of these changes recently yourself. So this is the Energy Efficiency and Sustainable Living Guide that was developed in partnership with the Office of Sustainability and Quadrangle, which is WashU's off-campus housing company. And as I mentioned, this guide will help you learn how to use the features in your home to improve public health, reduce your environmental impact, save energy, and save money. And you can download this guide from sustainability.wsl.edu. So these are ideal temperature settings for your thermostat for different seasons. And these temperatures that are provided here are also WashU's official thermostat set points and should be suitable for living in the dormitories and off campus. So while these are the most energy efficient temperature settings, there are other ways that you can heat or cool yourself that don't have to do with setting your thermostat, depending on the season. These tips might help you decrease your thermostat use. So in the wintertime, remember to adapt to the season. So adding layers, warm socks, long sleeves, warm bedding can really go a long way. In the summertime, using ceiling and plug-in fans can increase your comfort at higher temperatures and save energy. And we're going to go deeper into how to use those ceiling fans effectively. And then in the spring and fall, if your open windows and your ceiling fans are sufficient for your comfort, then you can go ahead and turn off your heating or cooling system. So if you have an apartment equipped with a programmable thermostat, you can set the temperature to change automatically according to your schedule and preferences. And if you come home early, you can temporarily override your preset schedule. And then later the thermostat returns to its normal setting, and you have the capability to override all of that and change it up however you want, but you can know that you can set it and forget it. And then Ameren has programs for big rebates on programmable thermostats. There's Ameren Missouri and Ameren Illinois online stores that offer great resources for discounted items that can be shipped directly to your home. Looking at the idea of temperature and thermostats a little bit more, we come to this concept of demand response. So demand response is a simple strategy that utility providers are increasingly using to balance the needs of the grid at peak moments of use. So if you have a smart thermostat or you want to install one, this energy saving technique would be very great to try. Utility companies are able to anticipate peak events or energy rush hours by analyzing historic data and current weather forecasts. And so typically, customers who have signed up for the program receive a notification in the morning alerting them about the anticipated rush hour. And then for automated programs, the smart thermostat pre-cools the building to a comfortable temperature right before the event. And then during the event, the air conditioner will turn off or may cycle less frequently. So spread across enough accounts, these small adjustments to thermostat use are enough to meet demand across the entire service area. So something to consider is if your home is part of the demand response grid in St. Louis. We can go on to the next. Good, thanks. So maximizing the function of your windows allows for use of natural airflow to improve indoor air quality and might reduce your need to run air conditioners, which is the goal. So through cross ventilation, you can create air movement on warm days by opening up windows on opposite sides of a room in your house or in your apartment. On days when there's no wind outside, you can place a box fan in an open window, and that'll help move air in and out as well. When your windows are open, though, make sure to turn off your thermostat. And this is definitely the most energy efficient way to cool your home or apartment. Something to note about indoor air quality is that on average, we spend about 90% of our time indoors, and definitely more now. And indoor spaces have pollutant levels 2 to 5 times higher than outdoor levels. So poor air quality can be due to building materials, air fresheners, furnaces, paints, cleaning products, care products, and tons more. And so you can stay healthy and cut your risk of respiratory issues by ventilating your space by opening your windows. Some more important energy saving ideas for windows are using your blinds. So on warm days, your blinds can keep your apartment cool and reduce the need to use your air conditioner if you keep them closed. And then on cold days, you can open up your blinds when the sun is out to take advantage of that natural light and heat. And then you actually want to close your blinds on cloudy days and at night to limit heat loss through windows. And then if you want to add drapes, long, heavy curtains around your windows, those provide extra shade on hot days and more insulation in your windows on cold days. Fans are a great alternative to using air conditioning because the average AC unit uses 3,500 watts of electricity, but the average fan only uses 60 watts. So both portable and ceiling fans can be used to create air movement, which pulls heat away from your body to help cool you down. When you use fans correctly, like we have the diagram here that shows summer downdraft and updraft versus winter, and how you can set your fan accordingly. So when you use your fan correctly, less heating and cooling is needed to provide the same level of comfort, and this can greatly reduce your CO2 footprint. Once the fan is on the right setting, you can adjust your thermostat accordingly, right? You can set it and forget it to reduce your energy use. And make sure you turn off the fan when you aren't occupying the space, which was news to me to learn this. The idea that fans cool people, not spaces. So if you're not in the room, you don't need a fan going. And there are many fan options and sizes available that are relatively inexpensive, and all of them can help circulate air. And like I mentioned, since they cool people, not spaces, make sure that when you do have a fan, it's close to where the people are sitting in the room, so you can take full advantage of that cooling effect. So you can avoid using a space heater in general by addressing why the space is too hot or too cold in the first place. So there might be, gaps in windows, or the insulation might be poor, something like that. So if you're on campus, you can contact facilities. Renters can contact your landlord or property manager, and you can troubleshoot drafts by winterizing, sealing cracks and gaps, and adding insulation. When possible, avoid opening windows or adding space heaters in the wintertime. And sometimes you can keep larger spaces, like your home, much cooler in the winter by only heating the place where you need that extra warmth, like the bathroom on a winter morning. So you can strategically use this idea to use energy strategically and make sure to turn it off when you're not in the room. On average, 15% of a household's energy goes towards lighting alone. So replace old light bulbs with LEDs in any desk lamp, standing lamp, or anything that may require a light bulb in your home, indoors or outdoors. Consider both. Only 10% of a conventional incandescent light bulb's energy consumption goes towards lighting, while the other 90% is wasted in heat generation. Similar to LEDs, compact fluorescent light bulbs, or CFLs, are also quite efficient. However, they don't last as long, and they use more energy than LEDs, and they contain mercury. A really big thing to remember is make sure to turn off all the lights when you leave a room or when you go to bed, when you leave your home for the day. Some tips for some light bulb exchanges that are going around. If you live on the South 40, you can look out for a light bulb swap event as part of the Green Cup, which Adrian mentioned. And you just have to bring your old CFLs and incandescent bulbs in order to receive a free LED bulb. If you live in off-campus WashU housing, you can contact Quadrangle for free LED replacements for incandescent and CFL bulbs. And for anyone else, thanks to the Ameren Missouri Energy Efficiency Education Program, the Office of Sustainability is able to offer free Energy Star LED light bulbs to anyone who would like to swap out their CFL or incandescent bulbs, as well as your non-working LED bulbs. So yeah, take us up on that offer. Even when electronics are turned off, they can account for up to 10% of a household's total electricity consumption. And the graph here shows the energy consumption, the annual energy consumption of common household appliances. Plug loads are the energy consumed by devices that are plugged into outlets and can account for up to 25% of a building's energy consumption. The term phantom load refers to energy used by plug-in devices that are not in use or that are powered off. One way to identify phantom loads is to look for lights, feel plugs for heat, or listen for fan noises. If you're going away for a long period of time, or even every day if you can, unplug all electronics that have a phantom load. And these especially include things like DVRs, desktop computers, monitors, speakers, and printers in order to save energy. Identify and eliminate electronics that are duplicates or no longer needed or used. Use a power strip for electronics that do not always need to be plugged in, and then turn off that power strip when those electronics are not in use. And then be sure that you're buying only Energy Star labeled appliances. Drying one load of laundry in a dryer is equivalent to running 450 LED light bulbs for 1 hour, which is a huge energy suck. So to reduce the energy usage, your energy usage in the laundry room, you can use a drying rack or a clothesline instead of your dryer to save energy. Using an indoor drying rack increases the life of your clothes compared to using a tumble dryer. But make sure you're not hanging your clothes on pipes in your building because that is a fire hazard. Wash clothes with cold water instead of warm water. 90% of the energy associated with washing clothes goes into heating water. In addition, cold water is gentler on your clothing, so you get brighter colors and longer life for your clothes. Make sure you're avoiding over drying your clothes. So put your clothes in the dryer for shorter cycles or take them out when they're nearly dry. And a tip, if you don't want to use dryer sheets, you can add a dry towel to the dryer that helps absorb more water and dries your clothes faster. Make sure you're cleaning the dryer lint filter after each load. A lint-free filter quickens drying and improves air circulation within the dryer and reduces fire risk. And then do full loads of laundry because it takes the same amount of water and energy to run one full load versus one half load. So avoid doing partial loads. One of the greatest energy uses in a house, apartment, or dorm is heating water, as we mentioned with the laundry. So any way to limit your hot water usage will decrease your CO2 footprint. Showers are typically the third largest water use after toilets and clothes washers. Take shorter and cooler showers to save both water and energy. You can aim for about 3 to 5 minute long showers. You can decrease the flow rate of your faucet or your shower head to save water and energy. And you don't have to sacrifice the length of your shower. So you can install water, like shower aerators, and that's a really effective way to save energy. And then make sure you're turning off the tap. So avoid letting the tap run when you're brushing teeth or when you're cooking or doing dishes. And when you're showering, make it a habit to turn off the water while you're applying your soap and shampoo. Another thing is to look out for leaks in your plumbing and make sure to report them and get them fixed. If you live on the South 40, got great news. Since the summer of 2017, WashU has transitioned to high efficiency plumbing fixtures across the South 40 with the installation of 1,273 low flow shower heads. So that is fantastic. If you live in off-campus WashU housing, you can contact Quadrangle to install a low flow shower head upon request. And then for everyone else, again, we recommend using the Ameren online store to browse for affordable low flow plumbing fixtures. And you want to aim for a maximum of 1.8 gallons per minute for true water and energy savings. Energy saving in the kitchen. So load your dishwasher fully before running it. A dishwasher is often more efficient than hand washing your dishes. If you are hand washing your dishes, fill a bowl with soapy water to use instead of leaving the faucet running. Electric kettles are the most efficient for heating water, followed closely by microwaves. Stovetop kettles are significantly less efficient. And toaster ovens take less time and energy to heat food compared to a normal sized oven. So you can limit your oven usage during the air conditioning season by utilizing a toaster oven. And then also limit the amount of time that your refrigerator and freezer are open. So avoid putting hot food immediately into the freezer or refrigerator. Let it cool down first outside of the fridge and then put it in. And I'm going to pass it back to Adrian to talk about household retrofits.
Thank you, Marla. So while the prospects of being hunkered down at home for multiple weeks in a row can feel daunting, it may also be a good opportunity to develop and prioritize a list and plan for a plan of action for energy saving home projects ahead of winter. Your list could include swapping out light bulbs to LEDs, installing low flow shower fixtures, installing programmable thermostats, paying attention to cold and hot spots to identify opportunities to seal cracks and gaps around windows and doors, and opportunities to add insulation to crawl spaces and attics. You could also look into upgrading heating and cooling equipment, installing a heat pump or hot water heater, and replacing air filters. Start with a home energy audit to focus your efforts on the most impactful retrofits you can do with the quickest financial return. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to talk about Grow Solar, which is essentially a solar group buy program, which aims to make it easier for homeowners and small businesses to install solar and slash their carbon emissions by bringing down their costs, providing free education to get people over the learning curve, and pre-selecting a high quality solar company through a competitive bid process to save homeowners time. The first phase of Grow Solar was a success with 71 homes participating and each saving $600 on average.
All right. Were you finished with your section, Adrian?
I am finished.
Okay, wonderful. So now we're going to move into the last few minutes of Q&A. Thank you so much for coming today, and be sure to join us next week for a virtual campus tour where we highlight our favorite sustainable spots on campus. So be same time, same link next week. All right. right. So yeah, campus tour and transportation tour, or transportation session up next. So I guess we're going to transition to our Q&A. Feel free to ask questions in the chat or just unmute yourself.
Can kick us off really quick. We had a question in the chat from Mandy about changing ceiling fans. This was actually new to me. I just learned this too, but there's a little switch on the base of the ceiling fan that connects to the ceiling that lets you change the direction of the fan.
I would add though, if you do that, make sure to clean your fan, because when I did that the first time, all the accumulated dust on the fan just flew away everywhere. So keep that in mind.
I have a question. How to get a home audit, energy audit?
I can field that question. So I've done this twice actually in my home, and I found it hugely useful. There used to be an incentive where you could basically get a full rebate for getting a home energy audit, and I'm not actually sure if that's still in play or not, but it'd be worth looking into. I think it cost about maybe $300 or so, but what it does is a professional comes in, they do a blower door test where they like basically create, I guess, a negative balance of the airflow in your house, so they can, and then they go through with a infrared camera to identify like where the air is coming in. And so they can really clearly isolate where you should spend your time and energy. So for my house, it identified very clearly that I needed to, if I was going to do a big project, it should be insulating the attic, because there was a lot of heat loss there, which is a big project. But then it also identified that there were spaces around the window molding and around the doors where a lot of air was leaking, and so I could just go get caulk for $10 or so and seal those cracks, and that made a huge difference in the comfort level of my home. And then it also verified that my windows were fine, and I didn't need to replace the windows. So it really helped me make some of those bigger decisions about where I wanted to invest time and money, and also identified the simple things that I could do, like the next day, to really increase the comfort and save money.
So,
and be happy to recommend some vendors to do that. We used Smart Home, and we were very pleased with them, but I'm sure that there are others out there as well who be happy to do that.
thank you. It was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get one.
Wonderful. We have another question in the chat. Is there any possibility that WashU will open its composting resources to the public?
I can go ahead and field that one as well. So the short answer would be probably not. There are some logistical challenges, and it's something that the university pays for. So it's probably not something that we would like officially open up that service or the ability to bring your compost to campus. But there, for on-campus residents in the South 40, there is a program for being able to collect compostable materials.
And then the next question is, how much energy does a vent-free gas fireplace use versus a furnace?
I can't answer that one. Is there anyone else on the call who might have done that analysis? I think we can probably document that one and come back to it. I have a feeling that that our colleague Phil probably has done that analysis. He's a lot of this thinking for his home as well. So I'd be happy to crowdsource that response and get back to you.
Wow. Good source.
All right, and we'll include that response in our follow-up email.
Okay. Let's see. Toolkit.
So I'll throw another question out. Is there anyone else who has maybe tried some energy efficiency, either behaviors or done some home improvement projects that were maybe intimidating at first, but now they're accustomed to it, that they could kind of share that experience?
Well, a long time ago, I planted some trees expecting that we'd eventually get some shade. It was successful. Things of that sort have really, so if you're in any location, whether you're going to be there 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or more, it's still a terrific idea to plant a tree or two that you can envision 10 years down the line. And it's not just the shade that has brought benefits to us over the years.
Thank you.
Having been in homes that had poor insulation and poor windows, I can see even just your comfort level with good insulation and good windows is noticeable.
Yep, that insulation, if you have any control over that, it doesn't last forever. And it's useful to figure out when it needs to be replaced. It's easy to make that happen. And I'm told that the payoff to that is really a high benefit to cost.
We have another service from Ameren. If you buy a new appliance, which is energy efficient, they will remove your old appliance with no cost. No cost.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Also, Mandy let us know in the chat that she uses a drying rack overnight. Like we spoke a little bit about in the presentation in the laundry section. So great to know someone can attest to using that.
Yeah, I've been, that's one of my kind of guilty not pleasures, but, you know, family, there's a lot of little socks and underwear that I just don't want to put on the line. But my compromise is when I do towels and sheets, I put those out on the clothesline, and they dry really fast, and it's, you know, it's a big thing, so it's just really easy to do. So I found that sometimes when you can't go all in, it's good to just do what you can. It still makes a big difference.
Cassie, can I ask you about clotheslines in the winter? Are they still usable?
I have a clothesline that I put up in my basement, so I'll do outside in the summer, but in the basement, they've actually been drying pretty well too.
And I feel like actually for places that are dry, my former apartment was really dry in the winter, and having like wet laundry drying was actually adding some humidity, and it was even nicer like that.
Great.
Think of our ancestors, they didn't have clothes dryers, so they hung out in the winter.
Our ancient ancestors, such as our grandparents.
Right.
My
back
mom.
there. That's right. While on laundry, there's exhaust that comes out from the dryer. So make sure that your exhaust is truly exhausting that hot air out away from the laundry room, either to the outside or to the garage or to some other room that's far from your living areas, because that's a connection, and all connections fail eventually. So there's possibility of leakage there.
I bet mine to the inside in winter. For the humidity and the heat.
Hey, recycle, huh? I like it.
I also wanted to quickly clarify maybe the LED swap. So before the pandemic hit in the spring, we were offering a LED swap. So people had to bring their either used LEDs, broken LEDs, or incandescent or CFR bulbs, and we would exchange for free Energy Star LED bulbs. Now, because obvious reasons, we're all working from home, we'll be doing still offering that program, but not with the swap component. Likely we'll just be distributing free LEDs. But that program is not completely finalized yet, so just be on the lookout for that, but we'll be bringing it back soon.
On LEDs, let's talk about LEED. LEED, certification. You received a certification. Is any information about what you had to do in order to get certified available for us to read? Is that posted on the web somewhere?
We have some high-level information posted on the web, but as far as the kind of detailed process, I don't believe we have that available. But if you're interested in learning more, we could connect you with with Relisha Tawari, who's the lead on our team for those projects, and she could answer your questions.
Okay, I'll try to follow up on that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess another quick clarification that I had was about the Grow Solar program, which has been really successful, but I believe, but I'm not sure, is over for now. Phase 2 is over, is that right, Claire? I'm not sure.
I was actually just pulling up the website to check. I believe that is correct, but in 1 second I can confirm that.
Something else that people might be interested in looking into more is Ameren's community solar program. So if your house, if you don't own a house, or if if your house isn't a good fit for solar, you can buy into their community solar program, which helps basically create a solar farm in the St. Louis area. And it locks in your rate for the solar rates once it's developed. So it's not super straightforward, but if you want to really support super local solar and can't get panels on your house, it's a good option to look into.
So there is one of those in the St. Louis area right now?
There is, yeah.
Where are their solar panels?
So the first farm was put on the Lambert Airport property. And then they're I think researching a second location because they filled up the first one with subscribers, and I think they're currently accepting and are almost full with the second round.
Can't they put them on buildings instead of on ground?
That's a good question that I think is probably a little bit more nuanced than I'm prepared to respond to, but. Yeah.
I spoke with a scientist one time whose part of her job was working with the companies putting up solar panels and making sure that where they put them didn't cover any endangered plants.
Definitely important points.
I could kind of explain the reason behind placing old ground mounts for large scale solar projects, and it's more to do with roof square footage size. So you get more output on the ground than you would on a building.
Question for Claire. Claire, were you part of the Grow Solar project?
Very loosely. So we have this regional organization, one STL, that brings together sustainability professionals from a variety of different organizations. And Grow Solar was sort of launched through that organization with the assistance of the people in that organization. So I was aware of it, although not the one launching it myself. But it was a really fantastic program. So as I mentioned, it was done in 2 phases. And the first phase was, I think it was about a year ago at this point, I can't quite remember. And it exceeded expectations. Many more homes installed solar panels than we ever expected. And I haven't seen the numbers about the this most recent phase that just concluded yesterday, but we were similarly impressed and pleased that despite COVID, we got much more interest and attendance at the events. They were all on Zoom, of course, but we were very pleased that so many people made an effort to participate even despite the COVID adaptations.
Thank you for being part of that. It looked like a terrific program. I'll keep my fingers crossed that some sort of extensions take place or analogs take place. Was there actually some state funding helping out in that?
I don't actually remember the origins of the Grow Solar funding. I believe part of it came from the grant funding that WashU and the City of St. Louis received from Bloomberg Philanthropies as part of our participation in the American Cities Climate Challenge. So that supported the program in part. I think there might have also been some matching support from other organizations. But in large part due to the grant funding, the City of St. Louis has done some really cool things as part of the participation in the American Cities Climate Challenge, particularly around energy efficiency. The City of St. Louis has been benchmarking energy use in large buildings for the past 3 years now. And recently in May, adopted a building energy performance standard, which will require all of these large buildings to meet a specific efficiency threshold. So it'll ratchet up over time to make buildings more efficient and is really cool. St. Louis is really leading the way on this. I think we're only the 4th jurisdiction in the country to have such a policy in place. So it's really neat to see.
I think I saw that Chancellor Wrighton about a year ago pointed out that he had participated in it and had actually gotten a discounted rate on the solar cells that he put up over on his residence through that program. Claire, I'm not sure if you did, but do you, Cassie, might you know about Chancellor Wrighton?
I don't recall seeing that. So it could be true, but I can't verify either way.
I also have heard that rumor. Maybe it's not a rumor.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
Great question.
Till next time for me.
Thank you.
We're so leaving. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Any other questions before we sign off? All right, thanks everyone. Team, Adrian, Brianna, Marla, great job. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go team. Bye.
Bye.